Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder, SportsNOLA.com, and the New Orleans Saints had their dress rehearsal in Oakland, and it went pretty well. They beat the Raiders 40-20 to go to 2-1 on the preseason. And Lenny, the third preseason game, as we've spoken of all along, is the best indicator of what to expect in the regular season. With that in mind, how did you see the Saints performing?
Very impressed with what I saw out of the offense. It was very similar to what we saw 2 years ago when the Saints went out to Oakland. You expected Drew Brees and the offense to play a half, maybe even into the third quarter. The first three series went so well and were such sustained drives that, you know, as Sean Payton likes to refer to a pitch count, he had seen all he needed to see out of Brees. He let Chase Daniel come on, play a little bit with the first offense. One of the interesting bits of speculation that I saw coming out of the game was, why not let Brees go back in there and have a chance to run the 2-minute drill in a live situation with the number one offense? But they chose not to do that. And then the depth really came through in the second half. Very impressed with Jock Bell. Even Patrick Cobbs had some great runs in there late in the game. So very impressive all around on the offensive side.
Yeah, I had to be impressed with the offense, certainly, and not so impressed with the defense, especially against the Raiders' first unit, as Jason Campbell performed well. And once again, an opponent ran the ball well against the Saints. Shaun Rogers got some penetration, but at the second level, the Saints really had problems. Linebacking play, again, a lot to be desired, and in the secondary, tackling not as good as it could be.
No question about that. And I think we have to take some of this with a grain of salt. First of all, while the Saints were not nearly as vanilla as they were the week before, they did come with a few more people on occasion than they did in the Houston game. Yeah, at the end of the day, this is a very banged-up defense right now. There are a number of injuries out there, number of injuries across the board. So I think we still have to take what we saw Sunday night with a grain of salt.
I guess the big question now at outside linebacker is, do you start using the younger athletic guys, the Martez Wilsons or the Jonathan Casillas, or you go with the veteran guys that have more of an understanding but might not be as athletic, like Scott Shanley and Will Herring?
It's a great question. It's one that's got to get answered here in the next few days. And, of course, one of the next things coming up, you're going to see this roster cut down to 75, and then by Friday it gets cut down to 53. So, with almost 90 guys on the roster right now, nearly half of them are not going to have jobs come Friday. So you're going to see some of these decisions made in short order. I would have a tendency to lean towards experience over athleticism right now.
Adrian Arrington, 3 catches, had a touchdown, and yet it's still an uphill struggle for him to make this roster. Boy, he's intriguing, but again, a guy that doesn't contribute on special teams by and large, and a guy that hasn't been healthy long enough to be able to get a real look, although he performs well when given the chance. Of course, on the defensive side of the ball, the other area of interest in the secondary, who's healthy, who's not, who makes the team in reserve, and who does not. There are still some pretty tough decisions maybe at 2 or 3 spots to make.
No question about it. You alluded to the linebacker situation and even some of those spots in the secondary and such. A lot of that gets dictated by special teams. And that is where, ultimately at the end of the day, you're going to see the same 6 guys playing in the secondary. You're going to see maybe the same 4 or 5 guys playing at linebacker. Those other spots are going to get decided by who makes the best contribution on special teams, which is why a Pearson Prelo, who in most situations you wouldn't even be thinking about, is probably a lock to make this roster. Maybe I just put the kiss of death on him. I don't know. But anyhow, he's got a very good chance to be in the final 53 because of the contribution he makes on special teams.
There will be some players that do not make this team who can certainly play in the NFL. That is the sign of a good football team. For Lenny Vangilder, I'm Ken Trahan for SportsNOLA.com. Thanks for joining us.